Welcome to the Din and Don Show. I'm Din.
And I'm Don!
And we're here
for some fun! There's your Chadtronic reference for today. Love you, Chadtronic.
Alright, so today we're actually going to be talking about Legend of Korra again. Cue intro!
I thought we were actually going to talk about the big question about Avatar that we realized today. Is the world of Avatar flat? Because when you think about it, when you look at the map, they always go from here. Where's the map? Bring up the map. Dan, bring the map right here. They do the thing. They go from here to here and from here to here, but they never go around the back. Why? Why is that? Why won't they answer that question?
No, like seriously, like even in the first Avatar, they never do that.
They never do.
They only go around.
That's the real question. Maybe the flat earthers have something. Maybe they have something. Do you hear that, flat earthers? You got me. You got something good. Keep going with it. But we're talking about Legend of Korra today. I wanted to try something new. I wanted to try and get our energy. I killed Din, so now it's just the Don Show. Welcome to Don Supplements.
Okay. For the record, he didn't tell me he was going to do that.
I didn't tell him. So...
Okay. Let's reel this back a little bit.
Let's make the thumbnail me smacking. Anyway, we're talking about Legend of Korra. I know a couple weeks, if you were able to see our video, we discussed how we were going to start talking about Korra, and we're going to continue that. I watched the first season recently. I watched it a couple weeks ago. Sorry that we've been dark for a little bit.
Thanksgiving, family stuff, and then there was a new mandate for
where we live.
And it just ended just before Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. And then
I think I was a little sick that week too. No, I did not have the Rona, but I was a little sick that week, so I just wanted to try and keep us safe. So, but we're starting off with season 1. And if I look off into the distance, we do have a TV monitor here, and it's to keep a reference of the Legend of Korra show, so that we can remember what to talk about and what we're thinking about. So, Din,
yes,
please tell me your thoughts of the first season of Legend of Korra.
My first thoughts of Legend of Korra season 1, very interesting. No,
that title there. First thoughts.
First thoughts.
I'm Jacksepticeye. Wow, I'm like dropping a whole bunch of names. I'm gonna get copyright claimed. Holy cow.
No, the first season. My very first thoughts of the first season is it feels like it's all over the place. To be honest, I
would agree.
It feels like it just jumps from one thought to the next without interconnecting them a lot into like. They do kind of bring it back at the very end. Yeah. But at the same time, I feel like they should be like leading into the next episode, which they don't really do. Like they do in Avatar.
Did you also notice that the last episode of Korra was called Endgame?
I didn't notice that until just now.
You hear that? Avengers didn't do it first.
No, they didn't.
So, no, but I would agree. As I was watching Korra, it was really hard at first because all of the episodes, I mean, in the very first episode, you have the introduction of Korra, and you find out that Korra is this.
Which, by the way, the introduction of Korra as the Avatar is completely different as where they find Aang.
That is true. That is true. How is it different though?
Well, and the fact is, in Avatar, they have the specific toys that tells them, okay, this person's gonna be the next Avatar. Right. But in Legend of Korra, the White Lotus are going around trying to find the Avatar in the North and Southern Water tribes. And all of a sudden Korra comes in, just guns blazing, kind of literally just fire, earth, and water. And that's how you know that she's the Avatar. But Aang, for example, wasn't able to use any of the other elements until he learned he was the Avatar.
And that's interesting. I mean, I would be interested to kind of see why they decided to do that. And I guess the big thing is that they wanted to make it different. They didn't want to make it the same story where Korra has to go through an entire season of learning all the elements and blah, 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 what Aang did. And I mean, it worked for Aang But was us as an audience ready for that? Did we want to have that whole thing happen again?
The thing is, I feel like I was. I feel like I was ready for it personally,
right?
Because that's how they set it up first in Avatar: The Last Airbender. But I know, but at the same time, you do want something different. You want something new. You want to have something out of the ordinary, out of the box.
Yeah, you want to try and switch it up. You want to have the same kind of story, but you want to switch it up enough. I mean, it's like whenever they make a sequel to something, you want to make sure that it's not just a redo of the first thing. You want to make it different enough, but have similar elements to it. So, I mean, I applaud them on doing something different. Well, and also the reason too why they didn't have the toys is because they were gone.
Yeah,
they were destroyed.
They were destroyed.
So, but you have the beginning where you find out who Korra is. She's this guns blazing, knows everything but airbending, and it kind of has like a rocky start because you're put into this world where the Avatar is not as popular as it used to be. The Avatar is kind of old news, I guess, but the world's at a point where it doesn't really need an avatar. At least people don't feel like they need to have an avatar. So Korra's trying to find her place there. She doesn't know how to airbend, which means she's not connected to her spiritual self, as well as she's got something. She's got to deal with a group of people called the Equalists. Now in the beginning you're like, oh, the Equalists, they're just people who want equality between bending and between benders and non-benders, you know?
Which honestly, like, would be a good thing because even in Avatar: The Last Airbender, you saw where the benders would take advantage of the non-benders.
Right.
A lot, specifically, like, everyone knows the big story, firebenders. They were literally trying to take over the world.
Well, and there was the episode of Zuko Alone where there were those soldiers who were basically harassing everybody in the town until Zuko came and kicked all their butts. So,
but they were earthbenders.
They were earthbenders, but it's just to show you that all benders did at some there, and that's the hard thing is that not every bender was oppressive, but there were some that were oppressive. So, and that's what the main focus of this one is that there's the Equalists who want to stop the oppression between the benders and the non-benders. So, where I have issue, because when we're talking about going back and forth, is that you have this whole focus of Katara learning airbending.
Katara, you mean Korra?
Korra. Katara can't do that. And then you find out that Amon can take away people's bending, which is crazy. You thought the only person that could ever take away bending was the Avatar with energy bending and spirit bending. But then after a while, it kind of takes a sidestep because we find out that Korra, she joins Tarlox, who's one of the councilmen of the Republic City Council. He wants to create a task force, a police force, so that he can try and stop the Equalists from taking over.
And Korra joins them.
Yeah, and Korra joins them mostly because Tarlock is very vicious and tries to bribe
Saying
her.
It lightly.
Yeah, he's vicious. He tries to guilt her into it. He guilts her into it, saying that is she scared to fight the Equalists? Is she scared to fight Amon? Which, you know, good tactic. Crummy guy, but good tactic.
Right.
And she joins. They fight, but then of course Korra eventually. She tries to challenge Amon because she doesn't want to seem like she's scared. Ends up getting her butt kicked because
badly.
Badly. But that's because Amon cheated.
Yeah, true.
I mean, he didn't come alone like she'd asked him to, and then she breaks down and cries, which is something I actually did like. Is that Korra, I guess, becomes more realistic because we loved Aang. Aang is a kid. Aang is very energetic. In a lot of ways, I think we can relate to Aang, but it was also interesting.
I mean, he was only 12 years old.
He was only 12.
He was 12 to maybe 13 years old at this point.
Probably.
112. Whatever. And for a kid, that's still very energetic. But Korra, she's about 16, 17. She's a little bit more mature. She's nearly an adult at this point. I mean, I believe in the first season she's 16. Second season she's 17. Third season she's 18, and the fourth season she's 21.
Remember, the fourth season exists.
I do remember the fourth season exists.
But I guess it is a little interesting because it makes her more of a realistic character. You know, it's interesting to see someone who has these bending capabilities be scared. And of course, Amon isn't someone to not be scared of. I mean, he's a scary dude. I think the character of Amon is actually really cool.
I actually really liked him as a villain. I'm not gonna lie. I really liked him as a villain. He was a really good persona as a villain. And he has a very sad upbringing.
He does.
And that's really kind of where it's like, wow, that explains a lot.
Well, and that's the plot twist too, is you find out that this whole time, the person who's been trying to create bending equality is a bender. He's a water bender. He's a blood bender. Which explains how he's able to take people's bending away by blocking their chi points. And I thought that was an amazing thing too. But then you also have this deal where you find out that, his name is Noatok. We had to look that up.
We did have to know it.
Because I couldn't remember his stupid name. But his name's Noatok, and he's raised by an old mob boss named Yacone, which sounds like Al Capone. So,
they did that on purpose.
I know they did that on purpose, but still. And he was a strong bloodbender. He could bloodbend even if there wasn't a full moon. And eventually, just how he was raised as Noatok eventually became very, I want to say, a sociopath. That's a very hard definition. But he lost care for people.
No, he did. He absolutely did. The fact that he was doing this maliciously, without any care in the world, shows that he at least has psychopathic tendencies.
Well, yeah, sociopath. There's actually
that's what I meant. Sorry.
Yeah, there's a difference. But anyway, so kind of going back though, they're kind of like take this random side story where they focus on Korra and Mako and the love triangle with Asami, which I'm Team Asami.
We both are actually.
yeah. We're Team Asami. But they take this whole side story about the focus on bending, and that's where I think it got a little hard, because it's all of a sudden you have equalist fighting the equalist, pro bending in a love story, and it's a weird change of pace. And I realized that in like Avatar, there were times where like they would have this main goal, but then they would take a side story. But I felt like that it was written better, or it flowed better, because. I mean, like an example, something I thought of. You had the Day of Black Sun. You had the Day of Black Sun. You had the Day of Black... Sorry. You had the Day of Black Sun where... You had the Day of Black Sun where they lose, and all of a sudden they go on this whole side story, and it's like, well, what do they do now? And it's like, they don't really have a goal. They don't really have a plan anymore. So... in a way, it kind of makes the story seem like it takes a weird sidestep. But I feel like that's a little better, because it wasn't like you were in the middle of a story with all of this tension, and then randomly they break the tension apart with...
Right, no, because at that point they had reached the climax of that little bit of a story arc, and then all of a sudden it's on the downside, they're literally trying to figure out what to do next, like you were saying.
Yeah.
And at that point, it would start curving back up.
Yep. So, but after that, of course, and I think one of my favorite things I really did like is when, after they have the final match of the pro bending, and the Fire Ferrets versus the Wolf Bats, how the Wolf Bats cheat to win. They paid off the refs. It's a typical football game, and they. And once the Wolf Bats win, that's when Amon swoops in, shows their chi blocking technology that zaps people, which I thought was really cool. And he basically says Amon trashes the people in the auditorium, saying, "You support these people, yet they cheated to win." And it's kind of amazing, because it's a really good argument.
No, yeah, in a sense, it's a. I believe you mentioned this earlier. That it was a little bit poetic.
It is poetic.
Yeah, and because they're literally taking out the cheaters and literally taking the cheaters bending away as a consequence for cheating at that point. And I think that's actually poetic in a way. It's instant karma.
Yeah, it is instant karma. So. And then they're back on track. And I thought it was... And then just a couple other cool things. I mean, you find out that Asami's dad is working for the Equalists because his wife was killed by firebenders, I think.
I think so.
She was killed by a bender. There was... I think there was a thief that killed her. You find out that Tarlok is the brother of Amon and that they're both bloodbenders. Tarlok and Korra fight each other because, and this is the other cool thing I liked, is that Tarlok does not want to be anything like Amon, yet in a way he is, because they both seek some sort of control and power, where Amon wants to be able to control who is a bender and who isn't a bender. Tarlok wants to control the government and basically have everyone under his thumb.
And for example, he even puts in that curfew for non-benders.
Yeah, and I mean, and he's demonizing everyone who is a non-bender, which is something that happened a lot in our history in other countries.
Now that you mentioned it, they're literally basically saying the exact same thing for two different kinds of people.
Right. Yeah, they're both seeking a very similar goal, and they even admit that at the very end.
Mm-hmm,
where Tarlok admits that at the very end after he's lost his bending. So. Very interesting. It was very, very interesting. So, I don't know. There's a lot of there's a lot of ups. There's a lot of downs.
But actually, I want to turn it back to a little bit to the Korra being human again.
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
Which this is actually where it comes to the end. Actually, which I think this is a good transition. I hope. Which is at the end where Korra realizes that she can no longer bend the other three elements. That she only has airbending at this point. And that brought her down so low to a point that she could actually connect with her and connect with the spirit world and actually being able to change herself in a way so that she can actually start airbending, start contacting Aang and all the other avatars, which as is being human, one of the best ways to change is actually bringing yourself down to a humble point to allow yourself to change.
Right.
Because a lot of people who think that they can't change, actually, this is coming from personal experience, that if you think you can't change, you won't change. But if you bring yourself to a humble point and actually accept that, yes, things can change, you can change. Like if you want to change a bad habit, for example, you can change it. You just have to humble yourself, like Korra did, to a point that you can actually accept that change.
I agree. I think that the things you said, that if you brought down to a lowest point, you can change it. If you think you can change, then you can change. I do like that. That is what you said, right?
Yeah, in a sense.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. We're making sure we're listening to each other. The one thing that I don't know, I think that is a cool scene where Korra is able to learn how to airbend. You ever heard of Deus Ex Machina?
I've heard of them. Don't know much about it.
Deus Ex Machina is Latin for, I believe, the machine of God, or God is the machine. Editing Den, if you will look it up later on. Basically, it's the idea that at the end of a story or a movie or a book, for some reason, the characters get saved by some miraculous means. So let's go to a different story. We're going to talk about a different Avatar, James Cameron's Avatar, where at the very end you have the Na'vi fighting against the humans right around the big home tree, the big Awa connection place.
Yes.
If you remember. It's okay. We don't need to remember.
I don't remember that right now.
You don't need to remember it. But there's that big war. There's that big battle between the Na'vi where all the tribes are fighting against the humans in the ships. But at the very end, when you think they're about to lose, all of a sudden you see all the creatures from the forest come in and trample down the mechs. You have all of the banshees fly in to attack the ships, and it's very miraculous. And I mean, in a way, that's how it's supposed to be. That's the point of it. Is that Awa, or Mother Awa, the god of Pandora, or the spirit of Pandora, whatever you want to call it, she heard the prayer and she sent a miracle to save them. And in a way, it's almost like a convenient end. With Korra, I don't think it's as convenient as that.
No, I wouldn't agree. I wouldn't say that at all.
No, it's not as convenient, but it seems very... It just kind of... I wish there would have been a better build-up, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Because it seems like... I agree, Din, with your idea that she's at a low point. The only thing is that I don't see that low point.
No, like I'll definitely agree to that. Honestly, it wasn't a big. You didn't see that. It was more like, all of a sudden.
Yeah, it was all of a sudden. And I mean, she lost her bending. That would make someone low. Mm-hmm. But I feel like that she connected more when she saw that the man she loved was going to have his bending taken away.
Right.
And so I think at that point she was more fighting for something and trying to muster up anything she can. And if her trying to change and do something different like that to muster some strength or courage or whatever inside of her, I would agree with that more than her being at a super low point and being able to bend. And it's just because I don't see her at that low point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't personally. And comment down below. Tell me what you think.
Yeah, no, honestly, please comment down below what you think of that. Do you see the low point, like the build up to it, or do you agree that it's just all of a sudden?
Yeah, and so, but that's just kind of my big thing. I mean, it still works. It doesn't seem like it doesn't seem like that it's out of. Wow, it doesn't seem like it's completely out of nowhere. I think it is cool how they wrote it in. But the explanation that she was able to bend because she was at a low point, when personally I didn't see the emotional low point she had.
Well, like in this scene where when they were trying to give her bending back, for example, Katara was trying to give her bending back. She's like, she just can't do it. And she comes out of the rooms looking all depressed. That was like probably the only scene
where you see her at her low point, and it makes sense then that she can connect with Aang.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's the point. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's the whole focus, is that she was able to connect with her past Avatar lives. But for me, again, cool. I liked it. I just don't know if I liked the explanation 100%.
Mm-hmm.
So
maybe they should not necessarily flesh out the explanation, but flesh out the experience of it.
So, I don't know. Comment down below. Tell us what you think. If we need to make another video and ask you for forgiveness, let us know. So, but anyway, we've talked for a lot. We hope you guys have enjoyed this. Let us know your thoughts in the comment down below. If you'd like to, hit that like button and subscribe. We would greatly appreciate your help and support.
Don't forget to hit that notification bell to keep up to date on all of our videos.
But until next time, I'm Don.
And I'm Din.
And we are here for the win!